store. For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
The bounce is back.
To the MI, brr, cat like a semi. Stole my car, won't you get mine? Yeah, black eye, oh, say bye-bye. I'ma get your body to the sky, run through your clip. You pissed, don't trip.
Come on, Missy.
Lips. And the whips, better have a whole lot of chips, cause I ain't for no giving tips. She's a
what?
When you say my name,
talk more junk, but don't look my way. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Andy, always right there, locked in the flow. I appreciate it. Giandra LaBeouf is our contributor this evening. She is on the line. Giandra, you couldn't rock out on a Saturday morning to that while you cleaning the house? That wouldn't make you shake it a little bit? Come on.
Listen, I love Missy. I misspoke. Maybe I should say it more of, I'm not going to run a whole Missy album front to back.
Okay.
Maybe I should say it like that. I love Missy Elliott. I know all these songs they in the workout mix, when I'm taking a little stroll, walking the dog. Yeah, Missy absolutely gets some play. But if I'm going to say, what am I going to run from front to back today? It's 10 times out of 10 will not be a Missy album.
Okay, I feel that. It might be for me, though. But I feel that.
Yeah.
I can understand. We all have our likes and dislikes, our things, which we appreciate. Uh-oh. Okay, Andy.
Real quick.
Let's go.
So, I was talking about this with some of my buddies. What was that? Was it Billboard and what was that magazine, Vibe? When they did the whole 50 top rappers. I believe Missy was on the list somewhere, right?
Right.
And the discussion was, is she truly hip hop though?
I think so.
Because when you listen to the majority of her songs, it really sounds like she's more so singing, more so than rapping.
So does Drake.
Oh.
So did Ja Rule. So here's
Go ahead.
So here's it. Ja Rule towards the end. I'm talking about Rainy Days. He was on the track with Mary J. Blige. He wasn't rapping. He was doing his thing.
He came off rapping first, though.
He did holla holla, but he always had a rhythm, a flow, a swing to it. And what I will say is, think about Missy dropped, what was it, 97? 97. Okay. The sound of hip hop was changing. What she and Timbaland brought in, right?
Yes.
That was, nobody was doing sounding sonically as far as tracks. We didn't have that, right? The way that she was delivering her music, the rap sing mashup, we hadn't really seen that at the time. And she definitely was hip hop. She was sneakers, she was baseball jerseys, those beats were hitting. That is not what R&B music sounded like in 97. Was it changing? Was hip hop included? Yes, but the distinction was, even though she sings, her primary thing, super duper fly, right? What's majority on that? What do you think? I feel like more of the singing came later. 1 Minute Man, what do we think?
She was kind of singing. She was kind of singing on that, low key.
Yeah. I mean, I think Missy is kind of an interesting category because here's the thing. Missy, like people always say, oh, Missy wasn't sexy, but she did her thing. But then it's like you weren't really listening to her music because her music is extremely sexual. The lyrics, the things that she talks about, the subject matter, but people didn't pay attention as much because one, technically the songs were strong from, the writing to the lyrics to the beat, her and Timbaland or just her, whomever was producing. Then she gave you crazy visuals, So I just think she brought something entirely different to the mix, but I would never. So do you think, so let's think who was out in 97. SWV was probably dropping their last album, Release Some Tension, right?
This is Bad Boy. Bad Boy is popping right now.
Bad Boy is popping. So maybe a Faith album, probably Mary, Share My World going on then. Total. Maybe a little Janet coming with the Velvet Rope album.
Yep.
So you line that up. where do you put Missy in that? You definitely don't put her on the R&B side.
But what it sounds like, and I think, you kind of clarify things for me. She represents other aspects of the culture of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, she does rap a little bit, but she sings a lot too. But take that out of there. Like you said, the visuals, the dancing.
But look at Young Thug. Do you think Young Thug is a rapper? Seriously. No. If just based off of.
Here's an even better one.
Okay.
What about Bone Thugs and Harmony? They also were big that year.
Okay. So look.
That's a good one right there. That's a good one.
So.
They was rapping.
They were rapping, but they were
with
melodic. They had a harmony. So I feel like the sound, as we've seen hip hop branch off into several different subgenres within it, right? I think that you have to consider that she was stretching the art form at that time.
For sure.
Now, it's a little more common from artists that are attempting to sing and rap in their thing, or carry, it's a rap song but they're singing kind of all the way through. That's the style, but I feel like it was birthed in that era.
So Missy paved the way for that style.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I'll give you that.
I agree. Missy was transcendent. She was just way ahead of her time. She is an artist through and through.
Yep.
And there's just no other way to describe her. She's just so creative and unique. She can spit, she can sing, her strong aesthetic. Like, she is the true definition of an artist. So, true artists are kind of gender bending. I mean, look at Beyonce. We could throw her up in a whole bunch of categories. We could throw her up in some country. She's from Texas. She does country stuff.
There was half a minute where people were like, Beyonce's the hardest female rapper out there before this boom.
That's true.
Listen, seriously, when she had like Bow Down, when she came out with Bow Down and things like that, and some of the stuff, like she was spitting on like Flawless, I think, was it? Maybe. It was a conversation. I'm not saying it was a factual one. I'm not saying it wasn't led by Stanism, perhaps a little bit, but you could make the argument that, like, listen, if Beyonce wanted to make a full hip hop album, she could, and she could spit, and she could go toe to toe with some of your favorites, and there would be a deep conversation happening.
I will say she was spitting on Upgrade You, though.
Right?
Yeah.
Purple labeled, like all of that. So, I mean, I just think that, too, as hip hop as an art form has developed, one of the benefits we have seen is that it's allowed, if you want to, artists an opportunity to grow and to grow outside of themselves and to not be afraid to, sometimes try something different. Because you think about this. If you've been touring, right, like let's say you had 2 big albums in 2002, right? And now you're getting all this love coming back and you're touring. How many times are you doing those same 15 songs? You know how many artists talk about that they hate performing some of your favorite songs that you are only going there to see, and they don't want to do that thing. They don't want to hear it no more. They're tired of it. They don't want to hit that 2-step, none of it.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Well, when we come, go ahead.
You're going to Renaissance is coming. That concert is 95% about that album only. And we don't even have to have a discussion about Beyonce's catalog.
We don't. But here's the thing that I still find remarkable about this. And I'm going tomorrow night, by the way. I will be in my silver. I will be looking like a chrome disco ball. Making it in. Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
I swear. I was like, why is everybody in this metallic foil dress popping?
Because, like you see the horse. That's what the horse is on the album cover, right?
Okay.
Metallic. It's a the album has, themes of disco, house music, 80s ball type thing, as far as the gay community during that time period is really an expression of that. And so, get your chrome on. Look like a disco ball. We're going to it. We're going in deep.
Did she send a memo out?
She did make a special request for these last dates that everyone attending, she wants them in chrome. So, chromed out, baby. Ice, baby. But the thing that I was saying that I find, and then, we'll get to the other side about the influencer and the controversy. But the thing that is ironic is people don't realize that she didn't release one video from this album. She didn't release one video. They picked one official single, right? Break My Soul. But otherwise, the audience kind of gravitated towards what they wanted to hear. There were organic remixes that came up through TikTok and stuff like that, like the Cuff It, Wetter remix and things of that nature. This album is so unconventional in everything that has happened with it. And it's actually personally one of my favorite Beyonce albums. And I'm not really Beehive. I love Beyonce. I love her artistry. I love her performance. I love the dedication. I love that she themes out each of her albums. But I'm not a stan. That's just, can't do it. Don't feel that way. But I love her, and I, would not take anything away from her. But it is impressive that people don't seem to remember that we got not one visual, not one connection to it, not one. No interviews, none of that. Not that she ever does, but still.
Well, that's because she dropped 2 albums back to back that had a video for every song, right?
Right. But still, that is the norm for her, right? Like, she also started that. Think about when she did the secret drop and changed the album release date from Tuesday to Friday with the Beyonce album with all of the visuals. Like, let's be clear. There are the obvious ways that people talk about how Beyonce is the queen bee. Then there are the things that she is doing to change up the industry and the way things move that are just, beyond ridiculous when you think about it, how she's changed things up. To Andy's point, 2 back-to-back albums, visuals for every track. This album dropped kind of unexpected and not one visual. And we still out here rocking.
And the one single that they did promote is not even the most popular song on the album.
Absolutely not. Like, it actually is kind of one of the most and I like it. I'm not dissing it. I'm not trying to say anything like that. So, fall back, Beyonce fans, if you're there. But it just, there are other tracks that are much more fire from that album. So I just think it's interesting from a business perspective to watch how she markets, to watch how she works. We see the things that don't go so well, that are kind of questionable, like Ivy Park and things like that. But the things that she does well and that she moves well with, they're on another level.
I appreciate Beyonce for being this trendsetter. I didn't realize it until we're having this discussion. But the only concern that I have is that now up and coming artists are going to feel the need to follow that suit. And I just don't know if it's going to work for them as it worked for Beyonce.
Listen, it probably won't, but you got to try, or don't, or take her formula and put your twist on it. That's what the industry is. It's all trial and error. We had to get to that point, and Beyonce worked really hard to put herself in this position. And here's the thing, she delivers. If they want to, try things Beyonce's way, they need to put in that same type of work ethic. Perhaps, because we know that Beyonce is going to show up and give you a show. She is going to perform. That fan is going to hit. And if it doesn't, you're going to hear about it. Those dancers are going to be in place doing what they have to do, I think. And also, too, for this particular album, I think it really is an experience, and it's a community experience. If you've kind of seen all the videos and the way that people are coming together. So I think that this one is giving a different element, a different side of Beyonce than perhaps things we've seen before. When we come forward, we're going to talk about the influencer and if controversy is the only way to, garner a brand deal for these social media types. And later in the hour, we'll get into Tia Mowery's comments about being biracial, but feeling and connecting as a Black woman. And I'm going to touch on why I believe that those type of heat that people have a problem with when biracial people say that generally is more for women than men. We're going to talk about why. All that and more, you're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Dominique DePrima, KBLA Talk 1580. Hey, did you know that you can buy a home without making a 20% down payment? That's right. Having a large down payment actually does come with advantages like no mortgage insurance, lower monthly payments, and things like that. But there are lots of different types of loans that could be a fit for your situation. Some of them involve little or no down payment. Whatever your financial goals are, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Initiatives can help support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. People with disabilities are extremely talented, resilient problem solvers that have so much to offer. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours.
Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So, there's a lot of people, I would say probably Gen Zers, maybe not just them, but we're going to primarily think about them, that probably have a desire, a wish to have a career in social media. They think that, listen, if I could just pop up and talk about my life, show off cute things, and make money from it like these other people, why not? I remember I was talking to the communications department at the college I attended, and they were sharing with me how communications is the most popular, well, at that time, major at the school. And primarily what was happening was that people wanted to be social media influencers or YouTubers and so forth. So, if you're going to college, maybe your parents want you to do something. There's, it connects to communications in some way, depending upon the program. So there's a woman, her name is Morgan Bailey. She's a single mother. Her daughter's name is Gianna. She calls her daughter Gigi. And so she's been on TikTok discussing how she had a baby with what she terms a random man in Atlanta. She made several videos where she got into the details of the relationship, some of the dysfunction that happened, very, open and transparent about things that happened. And those videos went on to get millions and millions of views, right? She wasn't hesitant to show her struggles of being a single mother. And she also let on that she discovered during this process that, I don't know if she discovered during the process or if she knew going in. At any rate, she is one of 6 babies' mamas to this individual man. Well, she talked about how she was left alone 30 days after having a cesarean, that she moved to Michigan to be with the father of her child. And, since then, all of these women have come forward. And then there was some back and forth. He ended up leaving her to go be with another woman and just all of these things, right? And as I said, millions and millions of views have come out in support of Morgan. They've been passed around. And so, not surprisingly, some brand deals have come calling. And she, of course, as most people, has started a product line. And she has things that, are related to mom. But some are questioning if, at this point, the main idea of releasing your trauma online just to get a brand deal is not a tad exploitive to yourself, to your child, because there are young children involved, and that are we really tapped into the person, or is it just the dopamine hit because it sounds like some messy drama and we're going to forget about them again and keep looking for that hit to fill it with a new influencer? I'm not sure. I do think that it seemed like if you think back to early Twitter, early Instagram, there were more organic moments of things happening, people going viral. You don't seem to see as many of those types of issues. Well, not issues, those type of situations happening. Like we saw that little Terrio finally lost weight, graduated, was playing football. The kid from Popeyes too, same thing. But those type of moments don't happen as organically as they used to. So are we back once again through a different venue of only being able to maintain attention by revealing something really, really unsavory or negative, or, hitting with things that most people would want to keep in house? I don't know. If you have an opinion, of course, you are free to share it with us. You can leave us a message on the app secretly. If you don't want to call in, of course, you're welcome to call in or hit us up on our socials. Of course, I am at Stiletto Jill everywhere. Feel free to do that. Now, speaking of influencers and social media, not sure if you check out Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. It has changed networks. There's a lot of things that were in the mix happening as far as Viacom and VH1 and so forth. But Love and Hip Hop fans are online demanding that producers do something about Erica Mena. On a most recent episode, she called, dance hall artist Jamaican Spice a blue monkey during a heated argument. And fans are very adamant that Erica should be fired from the franchise that she's been a part of since New York for a long time. So the episode aired on Tuesday, August 29th. And Mena and Spice sat down to have a conversation. The meeting was set up by their mutual friend on the show, Shakaya. You know her because she was also Tiny's bestie at one time. And it was intended for them to have a conversation about Erica's ex-husband, Safari Samuels, who is Nicki Minaj's ex-boyfriend. He's currently dating Amara La Negra on Love and Hip Hop Miami. There's been so much going. It's confusing. You really need a flow chart to keep track of it. And, for everyone to know who's dating who and who was with who and when and all of that. So, but Safari is dating Amada. She's recently come out and said that, this relationship was just for the show. But she came out and said the relationship is just for the show because Safari revealed that he was still having sex with Erica Mena. Are you following all of this? It's a big mess. But anyway, those are the circumstances that led to this meeting with Spice and Erica. And so they got into a heated conversation because Spice is really good friends with Safari. And a few months ago, Spice went through a medical situation where she was somewhere in the Dominican Republic. She had some surgery, little BBL, little lipo, little nip tuck things going on. And it didn't go so well. And she almost died. She almost lost her life. So they were having this conversation. Mena said that she was upset because Safari was almost in tears about Spice being in that condition. But after the birth of her child, he wasn't around. Anyway, it got heightened. They were arguing, and Spice said to Erica, at least my children, you want people to feel sorry for you because you got a divorce and you're a single mother. People have been doing it time and time again. And at least my child likes me. At least my son likes me. And that set it off. It's a mess. So some people feel like Spice hit below the belt, mentioning Erica's oldest son and what's happened. Spice has gone to social media and said, there were men, rappers that spoke on her son, not really, the two not having a close relationship. And Erica didn't have this kind of smoke for those individuals. It's the thought that it's always about the women. She said that Lil Scrappy and Stevie J were two men who both brought up her relationship with her son, and she didn't have that kind of fire for it. So, long story short, do you think that Erica should be removed? Do you think that utilizing the word monkey, should ever come out of someone's mouth to a black person? I don't. I think, I understand that there are little nicknames, little cute things that people use sometimes, but I feel like that should never be one of them. Shannon Thompson in the chat says, Erica has deep-rooted issues. She needs to be held accountable. She really does. I think she's in a lot of pain, and she's had a lot of pain in her life, and we talk a lot about accountability. And though that may be a reason for your circumstance, that may explain the context, at some point you have to take responsibility for how you react to things, because things can be triggering, but here's the deal. Sometimes you have to check how you respond, even if it is not appropriate. Emotional intelligence, emotional maturity, that will keep you through. That's really, if you think about success and the people that are successful, the people that move ahead, having a high emotional intelligence is very far up there on the list because it keeps you balanced. But we also consider this is reality TV, and nobody wants to see anyone living a normal life on reality TV, going to the store, kind of chilling out, being happy, like, hey, babe, we're going to watch Netflix and chill tonight and, maybe hit a party tomorrow night. Seems kind of boring, right? Do you tune in week after week after that? So I don't know. We kind of breathe the dysfunction. When we come forward, we will have more on Tia Mowery and her statement that she relates more as a black woman than sort of the white side of her as a biracial woman. We also have some interviews coming up in hour 3. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports are up next.
105, I'ma keep the crowd hype. When they say my name, talk more jump, but won't look my way. See, I got more cheese. Back on up while I roll up my sleeves. She's up. What you know about Timothy? Let me know. Eat an MC like C's. Let me know. If you get drunk, lean on me. Let me know. I'm about to bust like P. Feel me now. Anybody know my skills?
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Esther Dillard, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Biden administration officials say they'll help those impacted by Hurricane Idalia for as long as it takes.
He has directed us to do everything that we can to accelerate recovery wherever people are impacted by extreme weather.
Homeland Security Advisor Liz Sherwood Randall told reporters President Biden will visit areas hit hardest by the hurricane. She added that officials won't know the full extent of the damage for several days. Idalia, which has now been downgraded to a tropical storm, made landfall early Wednesday on Florida's Gulf Coast as a powerful Category 3 hurricane. Meanwhile, the U.S. Capitol attending physician says Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is medically cleared to continue his schedule after freezing up while taking questions from reporters. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Score big on sleep and savings during Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Save up to $700 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable beds and get a $300 instant gift, good towards pillows and more.
Gotta stay fresh, my house shot with a rest bar,
Have you visited us online for the grand opening of KBLA.store? For the best in new merch, gift ideas, books, media, and more, log on to KBLA.store. Be sure to check out our KBLA team favorites at KBLA.store today. That's KBLA.store for all the official merch on your favorite talk radio station, KBLA Talk 1580.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCEL scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're a veteran with a service-connected disability that is directly impacting your ability to work, resources are available to help you find employment. VA's Veteran Readiness and Employment, or VR&E, can assist you with finding a job that uses your existing skills. Or, if you're interested in exploring a new field, a VR&E counselor can help you determine the right education or training options for a new career. Find out if VR&E is right for you by visiting va.gov/VRE today.
Hello, I'm Will Jimeno. I'm a retired Port Authority police detective and a 9/11 survivor. For 13 hours, I was buried under the rubble of the World Trade Center. I was rescued thanks to brave people who were willing to put their own lives on the line to save mine. For 9/11 this year, a National Day of Service, I'll be paying it forward by taking time to help others. Please join me by doing your own good deed that day. Visit 911day.org to learn more.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Obviously, that's Ron Isley. Who's the duet with? Is that Candy?
Who it sound like?
Is that Beyonce?
It sure is.
I forgot they did that duet.
Fire.
Wow, I haven't heard that in forever. Go ahead, Ron and B.
Name of the song is Make Me Say It Again, Girl.
Let's go. Listen, but here's the question. When you have a voice that is as distinctive as Ron Isley, right? Obviously, you just need to hear a couple of notes and you hear it, right? Da-da-da. Exactly. And, you hear it on a song with a woman that is like much younger. Is it creepy? Is it weird? Like, does it crush your mind? Or are you just in your vibe? Just wondering. I don't know. I like, because I was vibing and then for a minute I was like, you stop and think like Ron's been rocking since the 50s.
He sure is. And that voice, you guys were talking about certain albums. What was the word y'all use? Over time.
Like replay value?
No, not replay value, but just
the evolution?
Aged.
Okay.
How the music ages well and whatnot. And I just think,
50s music does not age well. Sorry.
Ronald Isley, I think he just has one of those voices that just
timeless.
It's timeless, you know what I mean? So I think the generation of today can appreciate something like that. So
do they? But do they really? Because I think about, like, as far as male R&B voices, is the falsetto still even? I mean, I guess we kind of had Miguel a little bit, but who's really in that vein? Like, R&B for men right now is all really vibey.
Okay, I'll take that back. Millennials.
Okay.
Millennials is probably the last generation to have an appreciation for this type of collaboration.
That was fire. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. There's all Babyface and Kalani got a record too.
He did a whole duets album with a bunch of different artists.
Mm-hmm.
That song he did with Coco Jones, fire. Like, I mean, but Babyface is the eternal songwriter. Since the deal, 2 occasions.
But do you question that though?
No, but it's different.
How's that? Ron Isley and Beyonce is different from Babyface working with like a Kalani or something.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely an age gap. And
I mean,
what's the difference?
Babyface's wife was age appropriate. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Ron and his wife got a gap. Okay. Like, not a gap. They got and again, it's all fine. It wasn't anything wrong with it. If they like it, I love it. They are 2 adults that can do as how they please. I'm not saying anything, just, make it a little funny. Shannon in the chat mentioned Mario. Mario, yeah, he has a little bit of falsetto going on.
Mario's my generation, though.
Yeah. I think the falsetto is something that, and I think like Mario, when you think, when's the last time Mario had a hit single?
Exactly.
Early 2000. Yeah. So.
That was like the last song I remember.
Mm-hmm. But we like him. He did his thing in his verses. But I think that is Babyface and Tony. That's a great. They make sense, Right. Like in another world, they should have dated,
I was gonna say, the music videos from back then should have kind of thrown you some red flags.
Right. They were a little different. See, Shannon knows what's up. She said Ron's kids are the same age as his wife. Like, again, it's just interesting. I don't know. I like Ron Isley. I seen him perform live many, many times, and still will listen to Between the Sheets and put that up against pretty much anything as far as the slow jam. forever timeless. But we're going to get into this Tia Mowery topic. Now, we know that some people consider Tia, if you can have a black twin and a white twin, Tia the black twin. I don't know if that's because she was on the game. She seems to be more into things that people would define as the culture. But, that is not to take away from, at least for me, Tamara's blackness in any capacity. But on a recent podcast, Tia spoke about how she identifies with being a black woman, even though she's biracial, and that connection is through her mother. Her mother is a dark-skinned black woman. Her father was white, and she went on to sort of explain her thoughts. And so we're going to hear her thoughts, and then I'm going to share why I believe, just my opinion, that people seem to have a much harsher reaction to biracial women in the black space, or having these conversations, questioning their blackness and their rights to it. But you don't necessarily hear those same conversations, and not in the same detailed way as black men, So we're going to talk about that, but we're going to hear Tia's comments first.
As a mixed race woman, you sound like you identify more in one way or the other. Is that true or no?
I identify myself as a black woman.
Yeah.
My mother is black. You know what I mean?
I like how you say it, black.
Oh, yeah. I mean, because I feel like my mother is a strong
That's
woman.
right. That's right.
I have seen and have felt, and my mother is dark-skinned. I have seen and felt her struggles as being a black woman. Right. And so to me, of course my dad is white, but I am an extension of my mother.
That's right.
So yes, I am mixed race, but it's how I identify myself. And I identify myself as a black woman. That is how I've been viewed, how I've been seen. And I remember studying in school the single drop of black blood.
Right.
You black.
You black. That's how we were raised.
That's how we were raised.
That's right.
And so that's how I consider myself. And I just feel like that is my purpose, like I was saying, and my passion in life is to be that representation for my community of diverse women and black women.
Right.
So those are Tia's comments, and there are some people who feel like, and I feel as though this is a conversation that has really come on strong within the past 10 years or so, maybe shorter than that, about, really separating out biracial people from black people, with the conversation being led in some instances by and I don't feel this way, but I'm at a loss for words how to term it, truly black people, as maybe that's probably not the best way, but we'll come back to a more descriptive way to describe that. But I feel like a great deal of these feelings and the wanting to push out women, or say that biracial women are taking up space for black women and so forth, I feel that a lot of these conversations, and the reason why it hits differently when we're speaking of biracial women and not biracial men, goes down to desirability and perceived privilege that comes with lighter skin or certain hair types and things of that nature. Because when you look into the conversations at times, even online, and you start to peel back the layers, usually at some point, at some way, it's going to circle back to the men and what their thoughts are, who is viewed as attractive, colorism, featureism, which is something, as far as a topic, has been, again, something more recent. And I think that the reason why it hits women more is because it is a competitive thing for men when it gets down to it. We'll get more into the topic when we come forward. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Hello, I'm Kate Levy. When I was just 10 years old, I lost my father, Joe, in the 9/11 attacks at the World Trade Center. He was a lieutenant in the New York City Fire Department. For 9/11 this year, now a National Day of Service, I'll be doing what my dad loved to do, helping others in need. Please join me by doing your own good deed that day. Visit 911day.org to learn more.
The Chase Ink Business Premier Card is made for people who make things happen, like me. I'm Sam, founder and CEO of Manifest, a product design company that makes everyday products designed smarter. I get 2.5% cash back on purchases of $5,000 or more, plus unlimited 2% cash back on all other purchases, which helps us make more smart ideas into a brilliant reality.
The Ink Business Premier Card. Learn more at chase.com/business premier. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Real business owner compensated for their participation. Account subject to credit approval. Restrictions and limitations apply. Cards are issued by JP Morgan Chase Bank. Any member FDIC.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation.
In August 2020, after the death of George Floyd, Bridget Floyd and other family members established the George Floyd Memorial Foundation in support of the Black community.
It's going to take more than just us as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to make a change.
Fight for racial justice for the Black community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom? She started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. The subject that we are getting into are Tia Mowery's comments that she connects more as a Black woman. And even though she is biracial or mixed race, depending upon who you talk to, what you talk about. So let me get a little deeper into my comments. So basically what I'm saying is that we know that, for example, there was a lot of online chatter in years past regarding like daughters on TV shows. And the family could be, you know, what they consider an all-Black family, an unambiguously Black family. But generally, they felt like the daughter would be a biracial daughter or someone of a lighter tone that looked different. For example, Claire on My Wife and Kids. Original Claire was a brown-skinned girl. New Claire, Jennifer Freeman, was what they typically consider light-skinned, long hair. Same thing happened on a couple of other shows. They said that the daughters are always, even if the children, both parents are considered, you know, again, unambiguously Black, they would make the daughters a mixed race or the light-skinned one because of beauty standards. So the reason why I said that a lot of these issues seemed, and again, I'm not ignoring that it happens to men. Andy brought up a great point, which we always talk about. Light-skinned men are considered soft, you know, they you know, pretty boy, things of that nature. They get a hard time. But I feel like with women, it's a degree harder. And part of that, I believe, comes from the perceived advantages that women that they feel are lighter skin or mixed or biracial, whichever term turns you on and you feel works for you, get because of their featureism, or that's why there's a lot of talk about colorists. We think about when there's conversations around Chris Brown and Chris Brown in the Club, there was heavy conversation about whether he allows fully black women in his section and things of that nature. So I think the reason why, in my opinion, women get it harder, or there's a demand for, which is changed, the one drop rule, we know why that came about. Obviously, most people, when they're mixed, they are more likely to look like they are black. That's just for their phenotype. Not all, not every, but the assumption, especially if they have a black mother. And who does the responsibility of child rearing go to? The mother. So, that is why I think, too, people are like, well, why didn't the other community accept them? These children were usually left with their mother, and their families came together as a unit. The community came together as a unit to, raise and accept these children. We know that goes all the way back to slavery. We know the reasons for that. And that is why it's not so much, I believe, it just being a forced thing. I think it is a community thing. It is who we are or were as a people, and we are accepting, and we're going to take care of our own. But it makes some people uncomfortable. And I think that social media has shown over the past couple of years, maybe because there are more voices being heard, more conversations happening, that some people feel that there's an overrepresentation of women that they perceive to be biracial, because sometimes, people talk about Vanessa Williams, the former, Miss America, a lot, and make commentary about her being biracial and things like that. Vanessa has 2 black parents. But because she is very fair-skinned with a lighter color hair and blue eyes, people make assumptions. They make assumptions about how she moved through the world and what privileges come to her. And that's not to say that there are not privileges, or that pretty privilege isn't a thing, or that some people don't favor light skin. All of those things, I'm not in denial that any of those things actually happen and are valid. But I also believe that sometimes we as women are very hard on each other. And usually it stems from, in some form or fashion, competition for a man or a man's attention. Even if it's not directly one-to-one that way, it is indirectly thought of. The idea, oh, well, they're going to want a lighter, or that's going to be their preference. We hear about those types of things a lot, especially as the conversations has turned more to things like high-value men and, those big ballers with their pockets spilling over, and what do the rich guys like? What do the rappers' girlfriends look like? Things of that nature. So I really think that is why, again, not saying the men don't get it, but I think the reason why those conversations hit harder and the calls to, separate themselves really more so happen with women and not men. Nobody was saying Bob Marley at the time was not a real black man. Do you know what I'm saying? Nobody was pushing for him to elevate his white side and his message and the things that he was fighting for. His blackness wasn't questioned by most in that way, for example. So I just think that we're always hard on each other, but I do think that plays a role in it. And I don't know if there's a solution. I don't know if in my lifetime it'll come together. We can only hope. But I do think that it is sort of an interesting way, and it's a tricky conversation because you do not want to be in denial of the treatment some people have given. And I mean, I've seen it. I've witnessed it, of how some people, men, entities, respond to brown women, black women as a whole. So, Andy?
Man, I just think it's just a little bit unfortunate. I think we're living in a time where, we're still trying to figure out who we are as individuals, whether it's your skin tone, your ethnic background, and your lineage and all that. Wanting to identify as, LGBTQs. We're in this era now where I feel like people are, identifying themselves, and, identify however which way you feel. You know what I'm saying? This topic was discussed on another show, and somebody had put in the chat, I'm going to identify myself as the police would, you know what I'm saying, view myself. And I was just like, hey, right on.
Do you? Yeah, you feel good?
That makes sense. And, you know, hey, if you want to identify as a dog or as a frog, do so.
I think the bigger thing to me with some of these things is the pushback, one, that why can't you allow this person to do as they please, right? Not stepping over other people's rights, but in this particular instance, how does it harm you if she feels that she is a Black woman and she is taking on our issues and speaking about them? How is that unfair to Black women? You know, I understand we all want to see ourselves reflected, but I think as a whole, as the Black race, we come in a varied, different colors and looks or whatever. That's one of the things that make us so unique. And so it saddens me in some ways that as much as we had, it's only been 60 years since, the civil rights movement and all of those things that happened, that we are, not that we haven't always had problems. Again, got to make sure we clarify, because nobody's saying that. But it's just what we went through, what they stood up for, the things that they went through seem to have in some ways fallen to the wayside, or it's just something to hit up like for pop culture. They know a certain amount of stories because those are the ones that are repeated. They're not looking any deeper. They're not really understanding what those connections mean. Like, what does it do to push biracials out that don't want to be pushed out when our numbers are, lowering anyway? Why, Thurgood Marshall, light-skinned Black man, was he any less powerful? Was he any less impactful because he was light-skinned? Did he not still stand for Black people? All of the things surrounding that. And again, understanding why you want representation as a dark-skinned woman, as a, Black woman, to see yourself reflected is very important. But I also think that it's harmful when we start trying to push some of the other women away because we're not a monolith. So those are just my thoughts. Send all complaints elsewhere, not to me, not to KBLA. Maybe talk amongst yourselves, should you have them. I'm just kidding. If you have comments, hit me up. We can dialogue. We can talk about it. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Now, I told you, coming up in hour 3, we're going to go on an interview bonanza. We have lots coming up for you. So we'll get into that on the other side. In the meantime, relax yourself. Get ready for the final hour of the night. You're locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports is up next.
Whatever pains inside.